So-called super team hopes for an NBA title in their dreams. The atrocious performance, like a scary movie filled with horror screams. The big three, the true definition of a meme, traded away everything for 30-year-old Bradley Beal. 9 points game 4, absolutely piss poor. All these turnovers and bricks making my eyes sore. Sat on the bench, not good enough to see the floor. We don't want to see you play no more. The 2024 Phoenix Suns. An absolute disgrace of a travesty, from dirt highest title odds to getting swept out the first round by the superior 22-year-old Anthony Edwards and Minnesota, the so-called weakest fake not so super team all time. No chemistry from day one. Bradley Beal from a bad back, getting injured before the start of the regular season. That was already a red flag. Super injury prone. You watch Bradley Beal just conceal. Let's be real. Most overpaid player all time. Trading him for Chris Paul, an absolute disaster of a deal. The worst trade of the century. Immature team chemistry like they were in elementary. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, no more complimentary role players, an easier barrier to entry for washed up Eric Gordon, Drew Eubanks, That Young, and Bo. Title aspirations? Absolutely no. Let's start off with the pathetic, disgusting, first ballot disgrace of an absolute travesty Hall of Famer for the playoff ages. Bradley Beal, 30 years old, a guy who's never gotten past the second round in the weak East, never played point guard for his career, and somehow he was gonna fit and help the team get over the hump? Fuck out of here with that nonsense. We're talking about a guy who hasn't played more than 60 games in the season since 2019. From one injury to another, king of empty stats on the worst franchise imaginable, and Phoenix, with a desperate KD, took the gamble to trade for this garbage. Never got swept in a day of his life. Nobody in the history of the NBA robbed the league worse than Bradley Beal. Not only did he get swept, absolutely shit the bed. 4 of 13 shooting, 6 freaking turnovers, fouling out, 50 million plus the next 3 seasons, easily the worst contract to swallow. Should have finished his career with the losing Wizards. Already having 2 dominant scorers, Beal added absolutely nothing to the team. Failed to sacrifice his game, couldn't become Ray Allen of Boston. The only hope was James Jones trying to secretly get a couple GMs drunk during the summer, and half them accidentally agreed to a trade. Unless Bradley Beal asks for a trade. Having that no trade cost disaster, Lord have mercy. Teams like the Miami Heat dodged a huge bullet. I'd rather Duncan Robinson or Terry Rozier to play on my team regardless of the contract over Beal, a proven loser getting the most bank imaginable. For a team to have to pay him, John Wall and Otto Porter 9-figure deals. Now Washington trying to get rid of the light-skinned bros. All those players coming from the Wizards absolutely curse. This was the year Beal had the chance to prove himself but decided to be straight up trash. His job was being the third option on the team and couldn't even win a single playoff game. Getting destroyed on D like a traffic cone, and Edwards sent him to a quick retirement home. A shell of himself, played like he was 35 instead of 30. Zach LaVine now no longer the worst Supermax player. If the Suns had the chance, they absolutely rather have LaVine over Beal. From what the Celtics did to the Nets with the Garnett-Paul Pierce trade, this current Phoenix Suns bringing similar vibes. Beal brought nothing on defense. His contract sucked up the depth of the team, scrambled for a bunch of randoms, provides 0 role player qualities. Dante DiVincenzo making 1/5 of what Beal's worth, a way better player, capable of hitting game winners in the playoffs, rebound the ball, and making all the hustle plays. Bradley Beal never cared that much about winning in the first place. If so, why would he elect to stay in Washington, try to build something, when he knew he wasn't good enough as the first option? All those years getting all the money he wanted, waited till he's absolutely washed to play like shit on another team. Bradley Beal heavily deserves blame for getting swept. If he played any better, would have lost in 5, but swept? What an absolute joke. This backfired heavily from a nightmare disaster. From new owner Matt Ishbia, chose the team like he was playing 2K. Super wealthy guy, has huge passion for the game, but absolutely no clue on how to run a successful team. Going all in, he might be the smartest in the room in many things business-wise, but basketball decisions, not one of them. Went in on the risky 34-year-old KD. Looking back, the Gobert trade indeed more successful. Then Phoenix trading for Durant, realizing not everything's all sunshines and rainbows in the valley, trying to pay his way for a championship, not gonna happen. The franchise simply fell apart when Luka Doncic snatched their soul in the Game 7. The vibes were never the same. Keeping MacLeod Bridges and Cam Johnson weren't gonna do anything, both nothing more than just starting role pieces, but great third and fourth options, just like how the Knicks traded several important rotational guys for Carmelo Anthony. The lack of depth bite the franchise for years, never got past the second round, throwing money at all the problems. Ishbia might need to pay 9 figures to buy out the atrocious Beal, leading to Kevin Durant. Another failure of a season, cannot win outside of Golden State. Things just keep getting worse. Statements like offense wins championships, is he delusional? Reports being unhappy with the team, same OKD, different season. After 2021, his playoff performance has been an absolute travesty, having all the God-given talent in the world but never sets the tone or assert himself to will his team to win by all means necessary. He knows he can be the best player on the floor in most nights, but doesn't demand enough shots for being one of the best shooters all time. Cares way too much about just hooping and not building a strong foundation of a team. Charles Barkley spot on, saying he's just a passenger and not the bus driver. All the true leaders in NBA history, being the best player, should not complain so much about being unhappy and not winning. All that drama from Brooklyn to external issues, teammates disliking one another, KD being the team's best player, failed to get everybody on the same page. His teams outside of Golden State ran too much ISO ball all season, rinse repeat, same predictability. By the playoffs, the offense still don't know what they're doing. His personality, falling in love playing with other scorers, to continuously making poor decisions, loving to throw shade, refusing to play for the Knicks. Look how amazing Jalen Brunson's become, the king of New York. That could have been KD, but he simply don't have the balls to handle the big market media. For a player of his talent and skill level, all-time great pure basketball abilities, 17 years in the league, he's underachieved. And there's no other way around that. Following LeBron's footsteps for player empowerment, the only thing is LeBron's won everywhere he went, and still with Anthony Davis 5 years later. And how many games KD played with Kyrie? Both teams that swept him last 3 seasons, Boston and Minnesota, both built a culture, drafted properly, filled every position with different strengths, being more complete teams with size and versatility. KD simply will never get the respect from any franchise like Giannis, Jokic, or even Kawhi's 1 year with Toronto, being the favorites after trading to Phoenix and having teammate Book ball out last season. But the difficulty of ISO ball trying to close out stat-net offense with him and Russ in OKC led to a 3-1 blown lead. Hero ball playing with Kyrie, that didn't work. Him and Book literally scored 82 combined and still lost, leaving the role players useless in the dust. With another year of postseason failures, Kevin Durant's legacy will be remembered for not winning a ring outside the Dynasty Warriors, joining a 73-win team. As for Devin Booker, absolutely not top 10. From best shooting guard to getting surpassed by 22-year-old Edwards, still hasn't beaten a fully healthy team in the playoffs. From getting the Giannis 50 special to the Luka special, the Jokic special, and now the Anthony Edwards special. Most remembered for being the easy victims of future all-time greats and the best of this era, trying to play the one, simply not his thing. Booker played his best basketball at the 2 with CP controlling the flow of the offense. Quoting, he didn't know how teams were gonna guard us. Jaden McDaniel held you to 23% shooting when guarding you. Anthony Edwards outplayed you. Once the Kobe comparisons start coming, Book no longer the same. Proven time and again, the limitations of ISO ball to no effect against the best of the best teams. The only positive thing he has going forward, no more elimination game jitters. Did go off for 49 points, but why decide to play his best when he's down 0-3? The series was all but over. Games 1-3, absolute travesties. I predict he will demand a trade and be elsewhere by 2026 latest. Yusuf Nurkic, 3-17 postseason record. How the hell is that even possible? Absolutely worst starting center in the league, embarrassed himself, smothered by Gobert all series, so much focusing too much on Draymond. Maybe you're the brother that needs help. From that terrible performance, the Suns dumb as heck getting rid of the unmotivated Ayton, who would have performed far better than averaging 8 and 8. DA taking mid-range jumpers, more efficient than Nerf Kadurf at the rim. That's how bad Nurkic been. Unplayable to the point Vogel had to switch KD to the 5, having fewer total playoff games won than the amount of titles Draymond's Warriors had in their dynasty run, also winning the same amount of playoff games as Golden State this season. Nurk, don't even open your mouth about the Warriors. You embarrass yourself. Oh, and the time Portland went to the conference finals, Nurkic got hurt, missed the playoffs, and somehow Dame and CJ led that squad to the conference finals with their center rotation being Enes Kanter and Myers Leonard. I'll leave it at that. Drew Eubanks, does he even get minutes on the Pistons or Wizards? Absolutely not. Royce O'Neal, free agent, he is who he is. Suns might have no way of signing him back. Asked upon to shoot a 3 in the clutch, that's likely a brick. Sometimes he just runs around doing cardio out there. And Grayson Allen got his contract, his regular season overhyped, played 2 playoff games, absolute non-factor, huge part of Phoenix winning 49 games and just avoiding a play-in. His 13.5 point average, started 74 contests, the timely catch and shoot Jays, absolutely money all season. Phoenix did the right thing by not convincing him to suit up, hurting his ankle. Him being on the floor would have likely won the team game 4, but one win wouldn't have mattered in the long run. Signing an extension, then immediately injuring himself. Another tragic tale of one of Kevin Durant's teammates not eligible being traded after signing. Eric Gordon, daddy is old, and a diminished Isaiah Thomas on the same team in 2024. Talk about the University of Retirement homes. Taking a page from the 2022 Lakers, Nasir Little, under contract next 3 seasons. Who thought that was possible? Josh Okogie, humiliated by his former team, forced to be a crunch time player. He'd be the 11th man on the bench for Minnesota right now. Should have probably started for defense and bring the pathetic Bradley Beal off the bench. Him and Brick Gordon in that 4th quarter, my goodness. Breaking 2 free throws in the 4th in an elimination game. No Suns fans ever want to see Josh Okogie shoot a basketball again. Getting paid the minimum, at least he can say he played better than Bradley Beal. And for Frank, a defeated Vogel, forced to be in a situation with no depth, never calls a timeout to stop the momentum. Team frustrated him so bad, he went super small, witnessing such a catastrophe. I don't blame him for not having any more brain cells left to coach this dysfunction of a team. But Vogel deserves flack too. Already a terrible offensive coach, somebody like Ty Lue would have given Bobo the chance and make the proper adjustments to take advantage of Gobert's limitations. Vogel once again ruined his credibility, just another punching bag for getting blamed for another player empowerment star. Phoenix not capable of making threes, going too small, getting burned on the glass, wasting 16 seconds on the clock only to settle for elbow fadeaway shot. That shit simply ain't gonna cut it. Minnesota also elite defenders in Jaden McDaniel, Edwards. It's not Utah, where Gobert had to cover for guys like Donovan Mitchell, Bogdanovic, and Joe Ingles. So much for a team hiring a defensive coach filled with 3 stars known for being scorers and Nerf Kadurf as their anchor. All the superior teams who's won championships recently developed from the very beginning. Phoenix had that going with Book, Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Ayton, adding in CP3, but panicked after that 64-win season, sabotaged their foundation, mortgaged their entire future for a now soon-to-be 36-year-old Kevin Durant, who's no longer a top 10 player in the league. Yeah, I said it. Teams like Boston with Tatum and Brown, they built something special, worked together for years. That's why they swept KD 2 years ago. The Nuggets about to be a dynasty, they drafted both Jokic, Murray, and MPJ, developed them with AG and KCP, crucial trading pieces. Minnesota with Aiden Edwards and Cat both finally figured it out. Homemade stars. It takes time to develop good chemistry, and with broken Beal, $150 million amongst the 3 guys, there's a reason why Phoenix had to get leftover scraps who'd be sitting on the bench for the worst teams but having to play big minutes. No continuity, a hard lesson for the entire franchise, the beloved fan base from the devastation of prime MJ and John Paxson in '93 to Robert Horry's hip check passing up on Luka Doncic in the draft, to Giannis breaking Ayton's soul, to the Luka special, team pushing the panic button, the heavy consequences will last for a very long time.